I got into computer security because I was hacked. I was running an ISP, went to the post office, got my mail, had this great big letter that the postmaster says, I need to see ID to get. I'm like, great. What the heck are they giving me? I receive it, I look at it, it's from the Secret Service. If you know anything about United States Secret Service, not normally mail you want to get from. So I open it up, it's about 10 pages. First page is, sir, just want to let you know, you've been hacked. We need you to check the next 10 pages to make sure that the usernames and passwords that they got are legit. Okay, drive home, get to the system, start checking. First one, correct password. Second one, correct password. 97% of those were correct. I then realized maybe I should get into security. This was a Linux box. It was an Etsy password file. Shadow was a little too complicated back in '95 to actually create it and make sure everything was working correctly. And I was giving out free Bash accounts. So, here's Telnet to my box, you get a free account, and oh, how did I get hacked? I have no idea. It was a 16-year-old in Seattle that was actually a pawn to a bigger group that went across. Luckily, they did get caught. I didn't get to testify. It was been kind of good, but I don't think that would have been good for my resume. But since then, started working with a little bigger companies, from startups to Fortune 100s. And in my free time, I like giving back to the community. Either open source. I like abusing networks just because with the NTP, just a hint, I get over 150 million NTP requests per day. So I'm trying to get back on the NTP project. Weather Underground's a great thing. Nobody else is in my neighborhood. News guys are always wrong, so I might as well help them be more incorrect with it. And Bird Buddy is a very interesting AI project because they're trying to identify the birds that are going to your bird feeder. Pretty good at catching squirrels. So agenda today, a couple things I'll be going over. One, going to make some assumptions just so we're all on the same page. Then we're going to be looking, packet left and network. The main goal of this is how do I get information out of the corporate to someplace else without being caught? Don't worry, I'll also give you how to kind of catch these people on the same thing because I couldn't actually get in front of here and say, hey, here's all the bad things you can do without having some ethics at the end saying, here's how you catch them. So my assumptions, you're a normal user on the box that you're sending it from. Everything that I did here was not an admin user, wasn't any special privileges. You own the destination. So whatever server you're going to, you're some admin there. It can be a virtual machine, whatever, but you own that. Any domain name servers, when we start talking about DNS, you own the NS. You own that domain. So you can actually change the records. You're actually getting the name requests coming in. And these ideas are for educational purposes only. Yes, that has to go back to the legal from the other side. So first one, old school. We've all watched spy movies. They bring out this little tiny camera. You can still get these on eBay. That's where the picture came from. Take pictures, get it out. Okay, not really the best way of doing it nowadays. We got digital cameras, might as well do that. The thing in the bottom left, okay, that's a copier. I don't know if they exist in offices anymore, but it's a great way to copy stuff going out. But then also, if you go on a secure site and stuff like that, you can also hack into those because now they're on the network and see what other people have scanned going around. Well, let's get to modern day, not too old school. So a lot of the information was going through RFCs. Now, can I get a show of hands of who knows what an RFC is? Okay, how many people have actually read an RFC? Good, okay. Good, basically the same people. You got stuck like I did, have to figure out how a spec works, so let's go back to the RFC and make sure it works. The first one we're going to get into is wireless networking, commonly known as Wi-Fi or the internet, like the kids like calling it today because, we had to now go by numbers because IEEE 802.11 was too complicated to start putting letters underneath there. But if you think about it, that's only been around since 1997. Okay, I can say I was in college then. Hopefully most of you were born by then. Looking at this, but if you look at the picture here, okay, the lock's supposed to be a good thing. Okay, if you're a corporate, you have a network, great. Almost all my network now is, because everybody has laptops because the people are coming in and out of work, we're not going to give them a desktop, so you're using Wi-Fi just to make it easier. You can actually have meetings. Everybody goes to the boardroom and you have it there. Well, great, you got that locked down because there's, you're using WPA, some type of authentication, you actually know what it is. But let's look a little farther down. And actually, if any of you turn on your phone now, you'll probably see some very similar type locations. You're going to see a coffee shop or a hotel next to you. I got to put the NSA van because they're always driving around, trying to collect stuff. But can I connect to that network with my work laptop? And if you say yes, I can now not have to worry about the rest of this presentation because I can now upload stuff at the fastest speed that I can, get everything off the network, and you're not going to see a single thing with all the stuff that you put on your enterprise. You spent all that money, you did a great job, you're 100% secure, but now I'm talking next door, talking to the coffee shop on the first floor, and I'm now getting all that information out. So as a way to correct that, very easy. In Windows, you can lock it down. Here's only the Wi-Fi, so you can do it. There's a bunch of agents out there, too, that can help you lock it down. Well, let's get a little bit more complicated here, or a little bit more in the weeds. What else can you pass across Wi-Fi? During the initial handshake, when you're looking for this, is it one-way or two-way? It's two-way. So I can start actually sending things out over that. This is probably the more complicated way to get information out, is if I'm peering for stuff, that password field, I can actually send data out through it. How many of you actually check the password field when somebody's trying to log into the network? Yes, it's slow. Okay, none of these methods are going to be extremely fast. I'm not going to be moving terabytes at a time or petabytes at a time, but I can then get out 32 characters. Doesn't seem like a lot, but 32 characters over and over again, because nobody's watching this, it'll just go. I mean, think of how much you've tried to hack into your neighbor's network because you were on a different cable company and you couldn't get on. Your neighbor probably didn't guess it unless it was me next door. So when I said 32 characters wasn't much, you're probably thinking in your head, well, what type of data can I actually send over 32 characters? What important data? Well, this lovely thing called encoding. So I can take something that's binary and make it into text, which just about every single password field will take these characters. There's a couple that can't, but going back to Wi-Fi, all these are legitimate characters in a Wi-Fi password. And also think about this is 64. This is base 64. There's a base 32. Actually, you can probably create any base you want off of it. You don't have to follow RFCs if you're trying to hack, for educational purposes only. Okay, so thinking about, as we go through here, I'm going to be using a lot of encoding because it's a very easy way, and most people just look at it and think it's garbage. Kind of looks like encryption going over the line. It's a bunch of random characters. What is it exactly? Well, since I'm doing the encoding, I know how to do the decoding. Now, everybody knows how to do base 64. It's a very simple function. You have a decode and encode version of it, but if you start doing your own type of encoding, if you wanted to go down to 8-bit to really get small, or if you wanted to go up to 128 or 256 going across it, you can start playing around. That gets a little complicated because then you get into Unicode and may or may not accept it in different protocols, but at least base 64 and below, you can get it passed in just about every single protocol. The only disadvantage of encoding is it gets roughly 35% bigger. It's between 30 to 40. I was seeing some basic Hello World programs that were really small. When you get into some of the larger files, it's closer to the 30 mark. So if you want to get that petabyte out, okay, you're going to do 1.3 petabytes. It's going to take a little bit longer, but still, you'll be able to get it out. You might be asking, how can I get a petabyte out? A couple slides I'll show you, but it's going to take about 3.5 years. So DNS. We all have to live with DNS. Now, the nice thing is it was written a long time ago because people got sick and tired of the Etsy host file. If you ever had to, it's a great way to hack a box, but picture back in the 1970s, you're calling up your buddy saying, hey, I added a host. Here's a new host. Please add it to your file. That's exactly how it went around. So came a wonderful thing of DNS, so now we have a very nice network. It's probably one of the most redundant networks in the world for how many root servers we have and going down, especially if you get outside the US and you look at the international root servers, not just the North American ones. And it can do up to 13 different DNS root servers, and that's because of packet limitations only. Go in UDP. Now, if you look at this and you're probably saying, George, name, sends it to the DNS server. Hopefully that DNS server may or may not have what you're looking for, and it sends it back to you. I don't care what's coming back. That's immaterial here. I have 200 extremely small. If you have that, you probably don't need to hack because you can probably sell for about $1 million, so you're good to go on that. But then that gives me another 250 characters to send across. Now, I don't care if I'm using Google's DNS, corporate DNS, it's still going to send that resolution out. Very slow, 63 octets per label, up to 250 characters roughly if I had A.io, but you can get that information out. Now, there's 2 ways of getting caught here. One, if your enterprise DNS person actually looks at the logs and just realize, why the heck is this person looking up all these domains and it looks like garbage here? And why did I just overrun my DNS log space? That's probably how you'll get caught. Not that they're looking at the logs, just I ran out of disk space on there. But most DNS servers will relay it for you. Now, if you own, or if you can pick your own DNS, well, that's even faster yet. I can start sending them across. Now, on the reverse of this, you can get information in. There's a lovely record in DNS called text files. So if you had to get some tools into a corporation, since you're hacking there, you encode it, put it as a nice text file, 1, 2, 3, 4, however many it takes, and you start requesting those. So you just brought something into your corporation, okay? DNS is going to allow it because a person's looking for a text file. Who really blocks text files? Some people do, but kind of legitimate coming in. And now you decode it, and now you have your binary, whatever you want to do. If you want to bring scripts in, it's a very quick, easy way of getting scripts into an organization by putting them into a text file. Now, how do you block it? When you start putting limits on how many DNS lookups you can do for a specific root domain. Because to push this out, I'm looking up tens to hundreds to millions of host names, which that's going to just add a little bit too much data going out. You will see something strange. Or you actually do DNS query logging. This is a great way to catch it on the other side too. If you're actually doing it, all you need is the query logs. You don't have to return an A record, a AAA, whatever type of record back. I just got to look at my query logs. Here's all my information that I just got out of the organization. If you're really getting fun, you can do this over DNSSEC, and it's all completely encrypted going back and forth, doing with the text records. Then the next one that I love, I've been in mail way too long, going back to RFC 820, 821, 822, and then they put 2s in front of it. Now they have 5s in front of it. We're probably going to have to redo it again. And this also relates back to why do we need encoding. When email was created, they were expecting only to say, hello, what do you want for lunch? Send me back, that's it. This thing of an attachment, they did not think about it back in the 1970s. Okay? But encoding, they had to go back to it because in the SMTP protocol, there is no binary data going back and forth. Unless you switch over to TLS, then you start getting binary. But by default, there is no binary code going back and forth. Now, trying to get out on port 25, that's kind of easy. Most people block that. If you didn't, first thing, go back, block port 25 outbound, just so you're not a spammer. But if you are able to get out, interesting thing in the RFC is you do the hello, tell it who you are. You can do an ELO for the extended commands. So you see where the mail from is. That command line, you can put 512 characters before you get an error. And before you actually start an email message. So think about all the mail you can send out. Now I'm at 512. I'm no longer at the short domain stuff of 255. I'm up to 512, just the commands going across. If you're doing any type of analysis on it, it looks like valid commands, given that your tools that you have monitoring it actually follow the RFC. And you might get some cutback from it just for the simple reason of, hey, who actually has a 512 character command going across? But it is in the RFCs going back through it. They have not changed that since they started initially. The other fun part you can do with mail, and this is kind of breaching a couple of those. How many have a Gmail account? How many have a lot of really fun documents saved in draft? if you start a document, save it in draft, it's never actually sent an email. Then you go home, open up draft, and you can take stuff out of it. This was used actually back 2008, 2007, a couple adversaries were using this as a way to save stuff because, hey, I didn't actually send the mail. There's no track of a record of it going from point A to point B. Just I put it here. Person on the other side logs into my Gmail account because, you know, we're sharing passwords here, and they're able to download it, and it just went across as a web transaction. So how would you stop this? Take the dictator approach. A web proxy or something like that and start looking over this information that's going across. A lot of this comes down to web proxies. Get some type of man in the middle to actually see what's going back and forth. Don't know if your employees will like it or not, but it's your network. You get to control it. Now this one I had a lot of fun with. ICMP. One of the most rudimentary protocols that are out there. We all use it, but we don't know that we use it. And just about all the important machines on the internet use it. And the lovely command that we love is route not found. No, it's actually ping. Okay, so using ping uses a very basic ICMP packet. Here's what it looks like from the RFC. Now, if you use Windows, you got 32 bytes of information in the random data. How a ping INC packet works, I send some data out to host. That host takes the data, puts it back in a packet, sends it back to me to see if I can go from point A to point B. What we're also used to is it times it to see, you know, what type of timing that you have on there. Linux gives you a little bit bigger, a little bit packet. The other interesting thing is Windows does A, B, C, D, and the whole alphabet. Linux starts from 0 through 9 and then does the alphabet. Well, that's random data. There is nothing in the RFC that says, what am I supposed to put in a ping packet? It just says data. So what happens if I encoded data, broke it into small packets, and sent a ping across? Now, you can send a ping packet up to 1,500 bytes in total size before you have something breaking it. Now, the reason I bring that up is because if you have a network admin and they start seeing ping packets broke, that's kind of an odd thing because most people never put a size of a ping packet going out there. Google takes it a step further. If you ping 8.8.8, you can't do anything bigger than a 56-byte packet. You go to 57, you don't get your packet back. 56, you get it. But the average network will allow you to go up to 1,500. I said earlier, how do you get a petabyte across? Start one of these going every 10th of a second. Yes, you'll see network traffic there. But if I take it down to normal 56 byte size, I can send 3 megs a day. How many network admins in here can detect 3 megs a day going across the network of a ping packet that looks like random data? Okay, trying to catch this, trying to find it is nearly impossible. Now you can also use this on the reverse. If I'm pinging something, and I'm listening to the pings on the other side, it's a lot harder to receive the ping. It's very easy to send the ping out. Receiving it on the other side is a little bit more complicated because you got to actually get down deeper in the driver to actually see all the network coming across. Wireshark's great for this. Any type of packet capture is great for seeing it and then going through later to capture it. But I can also send data now back in as my reply. So as long as I'm sending out, I can. And you can also, on the reply back, change the size of the reply packet. Since you control the ping going out, you're not checking what's actually coming in except what you want to come in. So I can see if I can get that 1,500 bytes coming back in towards me, which most firewalls will allow a ping to come back. Now the fun part with ping, easiest way to stop it, turn it off at your firewall. Then all your sysadmins now hate you because box isn't working, I'm going to ping 8.8 or figure out your famous IP address. Oh, it doesn't work. Then you got to go talk to network people and like, oh yeah, I turned that off for you. The other fun part is everybody uses ping because everybody has turned off NSLOOKUP. So ping has now become your DNS resolver on a lot of networks to actually find out what the host name is. Now SSL, there's a couple fun things you can do with this. It's a great tunneling protocol. It was created by Netscape because it says, hey, maybe we should encrypt this stuff. Pure data going across the network might be a bad thing. And oh wait, we control the browser. How many people have used Netscape as a browser? Yes, okay. How many people have bought Netscape as a browser? Good, better yet, okay. That's why they're no longer out there, okay? We never actually paid for the browser. Okay, so they came up with this idea in '95, it's a way to secure tunnel. Okay, we all know how SSL works, there's a handshake and you're good to go. Whoever looks at the handshake? Okay, you're using a handshake because it's going through a proxy?
Oh, packet capture.
Yes. You can hide stuff in the handshake. Handshake going back and forth can be up to 8K, depending on the size keys you want to go back and forth. So that's 8K of traffic you could send out, and a normal person will see, oh, that's a handshake, that's an SSL handshake. Now, if you're going through a web proxy, if you're going through any type of inspection, just killed you in your footsteps, but I can now have data going across. I'm assuming I have a mediocre network admin, okay, not the top tier guy or anything like that, looking at these. But that's information I go across that plain light, it's going to look like garbage because we encoded it. It's going to look just like a certificate going back and forth. But you're able to get information out that way. So this way of using protocols that were never meant to be, but you can. Now the other bad part about SSL is everybody's now encrypting. Thank God to Let's Encrypt. I use it on all my websites, as long as my DNS is working correctly. So everybody now has free certs. Before, you had to pay $100, $200. Not too many people used them. Now they're free. But now I can no longer see my traffic. Okay, as an organization, unless you have some type of web proxy or something like that sitting in a way, I can't see what's going back and forth. Makes it easier for people to get stuff out of your network because now it's encrypted. I am still putting a bet down in 2035, I can send pure text across the network and it'll be the most secure way to send it because nobody's looking for pure text in 2035. Okay, but everybody's talking encryption, we got to encrypt, don't want to see it, well, it's a great tunnel for the bad guys to get across to. And God forbid if they open up a VPN, it's all going. The nice part is, though, you can capture this also by looking at traffic. This is very easy traffic to measure and to see going back and forth. And the last topic, because I know everybody loves QR codes. Great idea when it was invented. Okay, UPC code only has maybe 20 characters. Okay, going across if you really want to go really deep into it. But now they're like, hey, let's put a lot more characters. Version 1, you could have, I think it was about 120, 130 characters. So very good for invoicing. Very good for packaging, for scanning and stuff like that. The initial use. And then some bright person goes, hey, why don't we put your URLs behind this? Smart move. The last version that was just released, I think it was last year, 40-L, you got 7,000 characters you can put there. Quick question for you. Is there any malware that's ever been written that is smaller than 7,000 characters? Yes. When was the last time you went to a restaurant and it says, oh, scan this? I still like paper copies. I think Alberta's cutting us off come January 1st or asking for a paper copy of a menu, but still being allowed to gather that information. Put it into a different type of encoding, because now I'm putting it into a QR code. I work in marketing. Our new marketing campaign door. Okay, so it's an easy way to get information out. I also found a really fun way of doing, there is a project out there where you can make an animation on QR codes. If you want to take that even a step further, take the animation with QR codes and then put stenograph on top of it. There is so much error decoding in this that it can be pretty much unreadable. And it can still process, and you can still get the data out. So if I take the 8th bit and just change it to do my stenograph going across, So quick question, how many people scanned the last QR code? I will have a count on how many people scan. So just credits going on. I hope you guys found this enjoyable. You know, as an idea, thought of over a couple beers, couple ideas, you know, able to change, you know, put the red hat on, not always defending, but also thinking of ways to defend it. You have over 10,000 RFCs that you can start reading through, and you can maybe find these little tiny nuggets on how to get things out. Given they're not all on protocols and stuff like that, they do cover a lot of other things. Good reading is actually from RFC 1 through RFC 10, because you can actually see what people were thinking when the internet and these protocols were coming up. But it's a good way to go out there. I don't think I missed anybody on this. If you go to, just one thing, the template, downloading it, I did get kind of scared because it was all in Russian. Any questions on any of the ideas that were brought up? Yes, sir.
You briefly mentioned at the beginning you were talking about NTP. What are the projects?
Yes.
Can you explain a little bit more?
NTP is the Open NTP, or Network Time. In time, but coming out here, not as much. There's a lot of NTP servers on the West Coast that are competing for my NTP request. But doing that data dump and actually analyzing is really interesting to see the increase at about 5 p.m. And I'm guessing that's when people open up their laptops when they get home, so then it's checking it. Daylight savings times is always cool too, because you get a huge spike because the clocks are going nuts. And then also when Windows releases a new version of Windows, you get a huge uptick on that as well. It's free to join. They actually do monitoring for you. So until you get to a certain level, which normally takes about a day or two for your NTP server to level out, they give you free graphs on, you know, how well or how accurate your time is. Next one, in back, sir. What? You can get it out. There is a secure version of NTP. Where I thought of using it as a malicious side is like the Open NTP service only checks you every 5 minutes. So you have 4 minutes and 58 seconds to alter the time when they come and check you, or write a special rule saying, hey, if this IP is checking me, give the correct time, everything else change it. So think of how much fun you can have to go hack a website, have everybody come to NTP to you, come back a week or two later, change your NTP server to 3 years ago, go hack them, come out. Good luck finding those logs. You can find it. I'm not saying it's not findable, but good luck trying to, you know, search through there and find that information. Any other questions? Man, you guys are being nice. Well, again, yes?
It's just, you're exploring using these RFC methods. It's just plain text and content out.
What's your definition of?
Like a Word document, right?
So if you want to get a Word document, thank you for bringing that up. That's where you use the base 64 encoding. So you take the Word doc, it then becomes all those characters. And then you use that, you split that up for however big your data is going out. And then on the other side, you just reverse the idea. And actually, in the ICMP stuff, you could actually send binary if you really wanted to. You don't really have to encode it, depending on how sophisticated you want to get. If you want to have a fun project, write. It's very easy to do. You're going to have so much fun writing the checksum section of it, because there's 7 different ways of doing it. And you can go to 15 different universities, and they really tell you even different ways to do the checksum, to come up with it. if there's no more questions, thank you. No? Yep. So one side comment, if you do hit me up on LinkedIn, I will link up with you. I am local in Calgary. So, and I am in the security field here too. So thank you guys.